This is a film study to focus on Lions Mike linebacker Jack Campbell, who's off to an unbelievable start to 2025. I think he's playing as good a football as any Mike in the entire NFL. He's got 64 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, maybe 3, but I think it's 2, one fumble recovered. Super aggressive, very smart, tough, impervious to contact. He plays through blocks in a way that is sometimes a little bit unusual. Atypical. He gets to the football, whether it's a run or a pass play. Been great in coverage. The complaint or criticism that so many had, even some Lions fans had of him prior to 2025, no longer applies. The way Kelvin Shepherd is deploying that linebacker group, him, Derek Barnes, and Alex Anzalone, I think perfectly plays to their individual strengths. I'm going to show you film from pretty much each of the last 4 or 5 weeks in no particular order, and just to present to you the diversity and the myriad of ways that he's deployed and that he provides an impact for the Detroit Lions defense. This is, of course, the goal line stand against the Ravens in Week 3. The Lions win in Baltimore. He's lined up as an edge defender. It's a toss to Derrick Henry, a pitch, actually, since Lamar Jackson's opening to Derrick Henry. And, yes, he's got a UDFA rookie that he's dealing with out here, but this is not Jack Campbell's natural position. He was deployed there as an outside linebacker some in 2023, his rookie season. I didn't think it was successful. He's so physical and got such a great base and feet, in fact. There's no chance of either A, bouncing outside of him and just outrunning him to the pylon, number one, nor is 84, the tight end / fullback for the Ravens at the time, going to be able to expand him, basically widen this gap up such that Henry can cut it underneath. End zone angle of the same play, and I just like that he's getting his hands to the inside first here. You can see the right hand right on the V of the neck or the jersey of the tight end, sets him up, and you've got Branch fitting inside out on the back hip of Derrick Henry almost is Derek Barnes. A great job on the goal line, and the best was yet to come, obviously, on the very next snap. Campbell's pretty much just at the bottom of every pile. When you watch a Lions game, and particularly like I do from the All-22 angle, you see, like, for example, the view that we have here, sometimes you can't tell who the players are, right? They've all got white jerseys on, all got the same helmet on. You can reliably say there's going to be a 6'4", 255-pound guy or whatever he is get up off the deck after he's, peeled off of the ball carrier. This is the very next snap. Really poor decision by the Ravens, if you ask me. Nothing about the previous snap gave evidence, or gave belief, I should say, that you were going to be able to convert on a 4th and goal. Nonetheless, they went for it. You got Zay Flowers running the back of the end zone. Mark Andrews peeling across after the play fake to Derrick Henry. None of that fools Jack Campbell at all. Late movement by DJ Reed gets him to the point of attack as well. Here's Campbell tracking down Lamar. He's just a great reaction from the whole defense. From a coverage standpoint, you got guys covered up. Even, I think that's Bateman on the backside there, being covered up by Terrion Arnold, but I could be wrong. In any case, Campbell doesn't go for fakes. He doesn't get bothered by some of the things that other guys, perhaps overreact to. He gets a sack here, a forced fumble as well. Baltimore really fortunate, in fact, that Lamar doesn't end up on the ground and DJ Reed doesn't pick this one up and take it to the house. It's not just splash plays that Jack Campbell's been a part of. Of course, a sack and a forced fumble on Lamar on a 4th and goal, I think qualifies. It's 100 or even more somewhat innocuous plays where he's just in great relationship. This is a 3rd and 7 where Kelvin Shepherd is utilizing his two-man variation. Of course, you got Branch and Kirby Joseph back here at the same time. Hopefully that returns soon. Campbell's man on the running back, but his alignment is specific. It's to force a particular pass pro reaction from the offensive line such that can possibly be exploited. The pass is going to be incomplete to Rashad Bateman running across, but try to track or check out Campbell navigating underneath of Barnes, who is the QB spy, because Campbell's trying to keep up with Justice Hill, the running back, crossing Lamar Jackson's face. And again, no matter where they line up Campbell, he generally seems to be manned on the running back in these situations. Him, Barnes, and Anzalone, they've been used in expert fashion, in my opinion, with this look. So much so, in fact, that this past week, ironically, when the Ravens defeated the Chicago Bears, they actually used the same exact alignment and some of the same coverages that the Lions did in this game. Essentially, 3+1 with a spy on Caleb Williams and 2-man on the back end. The toughness and athletic ability of Jack Campbell, well warranted, or I should say well documented, as well as the physicality. But the pursuit, to me, is what really stands out. He's got great range. He's always had great range, but especially in 2025, and his finish, I think, is exquisite. So he's part of a stunt here that is designed to help Aiden Hutchinson get free in the A-gap and get right in the quarterback's face. I will give you the end zone angle of this one so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. So he goes downhill, and then you can see Hutchinson looping underneath of Campbell, and I think it's Al-Qadim Muhammad. So those two guys have cleared the path for Hutchinson. It's going to be a completion to Chase Brown up to the top side in the flats. And just check out where Jack Campbell is as this completion or as this ball is delivered. Like I said, it's a 2nd and 12. His pursuit, this is, of course, the one that I guess the NFL emailed or sent something to the Lions about, punching the ball out perfectly. I did find it ironic that was obviously mentioned after their game against the Chiefs, where there was so many complaints with the referees. I will say this: Jack Campbell is a guy that if he's on the field, it's probably not fun to play football against him. Everything he does is forceful. He finishes every play with the same level of tenacity. Well, I mean, did you see him punch the ground? It was pretty much as impactful or as strong as his punch out of against Chase Brown. Same play from the end zone angle, so you can see it real clearly the way he gets the ball out. I will say this: he doesn't do these things where Anzalone is kind of giving away that something is a little irregular, because of his stance and he's leaning. It's because Anzalone is working over here from a pass drop standpoint. He's kind of giving it away. But in any case, this is the same one where Hutchinson stunts underneath. I think the Bengals kind of do a nice job here initially, but look at the force that Campbell plays with. Watch him go through here as the center passes him off to the guard, since the Bengals O-line, recognizes the loop or the stunt underneath. I'll try to let this flow through a couple of times so you can see it. As he basically barrels into the left guard, and that really kind of creates a seam, if you will. I'll be honest with you, I could watch Jack Campbell film pretty much all day from an inside linebacker standpoint. I think he does everything the right way, but he also seems to play downhill no matter what. He played downhill blitzing or getting after the quarterback here, and then he'll turn and kind of run downhill, running back towards the football. He's actually in like third or maybe 3.5 gear, if there is such a word, but once he sees the ball exposed, he's on the hunt, and it's a perfectly accurate shot. My guess is that's the one that the league sent some information about. And like Dan Campbell said, if you're going to take that shot, you just can't miss. The whole team plays with this focused level of violence. You can't say that it's focused and reckless at the same time, but for Jack Campbell, it almost seems so. I told you in the beginning that I think he's having a very diverse season in terms of his impact. While the coverage, particularly on third downs, might be considered singular, man on the running backs, this selection of plays that I'm presenting, I think, gives you an illustration of the width and the depth of his impact. This is in the third quarter against the Bengals. They would go on to take a 28-3 lead, but this is after an interception by Anzalone in zone. In any case, Campbell lined up to the field, his customary Mike position. It's going to be a run concept, and it's a log play, if you will. So the right guard is going to pull and then lead up on Jack Campbell. I don't think he takes this on in the most technical manner, what I would expect, but what I will say is when Jack Campbell collides with a lead blocker, there is normally no movement vertically. He's not normally getting expanded. We would say that since the line of scrimmage is just short of the negative 34, and this collision between Jack Campbell and the offensive lineman takes place basically within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage, we would say this is 10-0 football in terms of taking on a block, even though the technique could probably be a little bit improved. Same play from the end zone angle. Here's Campbell. This is the guard that's going to pull and loop to go block him. Essentially, it's called a log concept, where the center is blocking back on the nose tackle, and the guard is pulling and stepping around him to insert on that B-gap. Insert on that A-gap. The B-gap defender, the D tackle, is being blocked by the left guard, and then the C-gap defender is being blocked by Orlando Brown, who somehow is able to get out of that stance. extremely violent is the word that I would use for Jack Campbell. He kind of stands up a little bit here, which is a little bit surprising. Normally he's pads below pads. In any case, he's still able to stay on that outside leverage with the left guard and get to the running back. I think him and Hutchinson combine for a tackle on a 2-yard gain. Same game against the Bengals. It's earlier in the game. Some of these plays are not chronological from first, second, third, and then fourth quarter. My apologies for that. But in any case, this is a tackle for loss. I think he's been great against screens. I'll show you this one, and then one against the Bucs a couple of weeks ago. This happens to be the running back in the backfield and then motioning out. One thing he's great at is recognition. If he doesn't recognize things so quickly, I don't think he gets out in front of one or both of these offensive linemen to be able to make this play. Part of that, it could be said, when he's man on running back so much, then he's assigned to the running back, so he should be expected to beat the offensive lineman there. I don't think he's actually in man in every iteration when he's made a great play like this. This, to me, shows you his athleticism, his burst, as well as his recognition and then finishing ability. That's one thing I think has got to be mentioned about Jack Campbell. When he makes a tackle, you know it. If you didn't see the jersey number, on the back of their jerseys, you would know that it's a Jack Campbell tackle just because of how physical he is, even if it's a quarterback. So this is a play against the Chiefs, obviously the road loss. Essentially an option/RPO look. 2 tight ends to the top side into the boundary. This inside tight end, the slot, is going to run a shoot route out into the flats. Kelsey will kind of block at first and then settle down almost like a snag concept. Running back is going to cross Mahomes' face, and Jack Campbell's not going to go for any of that. He's laser focused on what he should be focused on. When he sees an open window, in this case, the open space in here, he goes for it. I love his essentially non-reaction to Mahomes' little pump fake, like he's going to shovel it to someone, and then the finish here. I particularly love this. I'm not the biggest fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll be upfront about it, but what I will say is not very many players are willing to just basically sling Patrick Mahomes to the sideline like that for fear of drawing a penalty. I think he's just a football player. I've noticed it since his rookie season of 2023, basically from sideline to sideline, horizontally, goal line to goal line, vertically. He is committed to making as much contact with blockers, ball carriers, receivers, or yes, like we saw in the last play, quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. 3rd and 7 early in the game. Of course, we know that the Lions pitched an absolute shutout on the first 7 defensive possessions against the Bucs. A real masterpiece. I did at least 2 film study videos that week. You're more than welcome to check them out. I'll link them up in the description and as this video flows through. So Anzalone's to the bottom side of the screen. Why? Because it's where one of the tight ends is. Jack Campbell is to the top with the running back. Like I said, it's 3rd and 7. So the Lions are in their 3+1. So basically 3 defensive linemen to rush. Derek Barnes as the +1, possible rusher or QB spy, along with Campbell and Alex Anzalone as the other 2 inside linebackers. 3-3 personnel, but a 3-1 deployment. 3 dedicated rushers, Barnes as the potential +1. And so I think this play is just a response to that. Meaning, since there's 3 dedicated rushers in this 3+1 look, consistently Tampa Bay did their homework. Okay, those 3 guys are going to get upfield. We can screen everyone else by running people off in man. They ran a mesh concept here and occupying them. This is a great play for Campbell to be able to make this tackle and prevent any type of catch and then run underneath of the blocks. In this case, I think that's Tristan Wirfs out there, number 77, but I might be wrong. I think it's a really underrated football play. Helps Detroit get a stop, like I said, on the second possession. He's been that good at pretty much everything he's asked to do in 2025. It's kind of ironic that out of everything that I've presented so far in a Jack Campbell video, really haven't focused on his work against the run. That goes without saying. He's as good as any Mike linebacker in the league at fitting the run, not just fitting the gap he should be in, but at the same time that the running back does. His ability to match the running back's pace along with reading and seeing the offensive line, I think is as good as it gets in the NFL. 4-3 structure for the Lions, so all 3 guys are on the field. Campbell, Barnes, Anzalone. It's a 1st and 10 on the Bucs' 3rd possession. Run concept, full flow, meaning running back and all the offensive linemen are flowing in the same direction, in this case to our left, but to Jack Campbell's right. Backside tight end is trying to cut off Aiden Hutchinson. Already kind of covered this in a previous video. He's trying to cut off Hutchinson, unable to do so, as Hutchinson appears to be the first guy to make contact right here. What I think is notable is, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, if you didn't have jersey numbers on or you had no idea who the players were, you would see the ending to this and you would know that it's Jack Campbell slamming the running back to the ground. He plays with a tremendous amount of force. Like I said, as usual, he's on top of the running back or connected to him at the end of the play. You'll get a better idea of how it happened, how he was able to fit in the middle of that scrum from this all-22 angle. Again, they're trying to cut off Aiden Hutchinson with the outside tight end from a 12 personnel group. Watch Jack Campbell, I should say, match the running back's angle and then get his hand out, getting ready to stab or punch anyone that shows up. They've really built a wall here, right? They being the Lions defense. Nowhere for the running back to go. He's got to try to cut it back. And we'll go slow motion with this so you can see. That's Jack Campbell's helmet right there. I know this is from the all-22 angle, so we're zoomed out. And he ends up slamming the running back to the ground. He sets a physical tone. And I get it. There's a lot of football fans nowadays that are soft. The ones listening now are not because you're Lions fans. But I'm talking about fans of the Bucs or other teams who would say that should be a penalty. In my opinion, Jack Campbell just plays the game the way that it should be played, whether it's 1955, 1995, or 2025. Finally, one more illustration of the third down coverage and structure, I should say, that Kelvin Sheppard has been relying on in 2025. Same game against the Bucs on a 3rd and 6. You're going to get two high safety structure. One of the safeties is going to drive on this route, underneath route from across the field. Same reaction that Branch and or Kirby Joseph has had throughout 2025 on these third down coverages. Here's Campbell matched up against the running back. He's got a lot to navigate because you've got 3 receivers to the side for the Bucs. So it's not a clean run through or a clean lane, but he seems to have great vision, meaning he can go underneath or around players and still track or stay with his coverage. And so basically, really, this is a one-man screen, okay? So the Bucs have got one blocker out in front for the running back, and this is interesting to me because I would not expect this to necessarily work, meaning if you knew that the Lions were playing this coverage, you know that Campbell's going to be here on the running back, Anzalone's going to be here on the tight end. I think that either the Bucs had a play called to attack somewhere else, and they're just trying to clear those guys out. I think this coverage dynamic, this structure or this concept for Kelvin Sheppard has been one of the best I have seen in 2025 from the standpoint of how effective it's been. I don't know the yards per play on this particular coverage. I will have a video out later this week to try to give some of that information to the best of my ability. I will be upfront with you. I think Jack Campbell's playing at an all-pro level. I suspected it 3 or 4 weeks ago. There are other guys at the Mike linebacker position. When I say Mike linebacker, I mean the inside linebacker who's set to the field by and large. There are other guys that I have seen that I think are worthy of mention. Ernest Jones IV for the Seattle Seahawks. He's got 3 interceptions, excellent against the run, very quick, violent, just like Jack Campbell. Devin Lloyd, inside linebacker for the Jags, I think he's got 5 interceptions. But when you watch the film of Campbell, and I get the opportunity at this point to watch generally 6 football teams every week, 3 games, Ravens, Lions, Seahawks, times 2, unless the Ravens and the Lions play each other like week 3. I just don't see anybody playing with the same level of physicality as Jack Campbell, the pure ability and focus to get to the football and then make an impact when he gets there. It would be a close choice for me if I had to pick between Ernest Jones IV and Jack Campbell. If I was the sole determining vote for All-Pro, I think I would choose Campbell. I like them both. I will be upfront with you. I really like them both a lot. Campbell's finish, his violence, his ability to force fumbles. I'll tell you what he reminds me of. He reminds me of the fighters in like MMA that get better in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds of a championship fight, or professional boxing, right? The 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, they just take over because they got extreme cardio, number 1. Number 2, they've landed a bunch of body shots on you early in fights, or leg kicks in MMA, or calf kicks, I should say. And so they've worn you down. And Jack Campbell, that's what he reminds me of, a guy who can play every single snap, 50, 60, 70 snaps a game, whatever it's called for him. I'm really not surprised that he's gaining recognition for his play. I think he played at a higher level last year, 2024, than many people described. Let's do this. If he keeps this pace, all right, 64 tackles, I think 34 solo. It might be 36 or 38. But anyway, if he keeps this pace for the rest of the season, he's going to obliterate his career high in tackles, which from last year was 130 plus. We're through 7 games. He's got 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Let's double that too, right? So let's say conservatively, 140, 145 plus tackles, 6 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. How do you keep him off an all-pro team? I don't see how. He's a pure football player. He's got great angles on approach. Pass coverage on running backs has been great. His reaction to screens, perfect. You saw it here on film twice. Once when the running back was in the backfield, a second time when Rachaad White was set out as a wide receiver. I just think he's playing at an elite level, and I'm very happy to be able to produce this video because I've been a believer in him for a long time. The way he played as a rookie, to see him and Anzalone and Barnes, first of all healthy, out there on the field together is amazing and fun to watch. But they're all on the same page. They're so connected as a group, and I think that's one of the reasons why Shepard likes to keep them on the field on third down. It's a different scheme. It's a different concept. It's not a typical one that most teams use on 3rd and 6, whereby they have 4 defensive linemen on the field, 2 edge defenders are your primary pass rushers, maybe a dominant or badass defensive tackle too. That's not what Kelvin Shepard has chosen. That's not what Dan Campbell and even Brad Holmes has chosen. They've chosen to use Campbell, Anzalone, and Barnes on the field as much as possible, and it's working. I think they have great individual skills. To me, talent-wise, physical talent-wise, Campbell's has the highest ceiling of the 3. Size, speed, athleticism, tackling ability. His coverage was supposedly his relative weakness. That no longer applies. He's being put in the position to succeed so often, man on the running back, but he's really good in zone, in my opinion. I think this is the best version of Jack Campbell that we've seen so far. It doesn't surprise me because he's in year 3, number 1. Number 2, surrounded by guys who are also really good football players, and they're committed to everything that Kelvin Shepard assigns them to do. It's been a fun season to watch defense of Jack Campbell and the Lions, other than week 3, obviously. You don't know how difficult it was for me to make that graphic there legitimately, but I thought first, A, the picture is amazing, and B, just the look in his eyes, I think, encapsulates what you get from Jack Campbell. No, he's not screaming mouth agape on every single snap, but he's a guy who's completely dedicated to his target, and there's really nothing that can stop him from getting there. It's been a fun season to watch of him so far, and we've only gone through 7 games. In any case, I'm excited to try to cover this for you guys the rest of the year. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. Number 1, video's been performing really poorly for the past 2 weeks, so I would appreciate some likes or comments if you guys did like the video. And finally, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy hearing what I have to say about Jack Campbell as well as the film that I showed, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.